It's Stan Veit's History of the Personal Computer. From Altair to IBM, A History of the PC Revolution. By Stan Veit, Editor-in-Chief Emeritus, Computer Shopper. Copyright 1993 and 2025 by Stan Veit and A-Books Creativity Incorporated. Read by Randy Kindig and David Greelish.
Chapter 10, The Digital Group. One of the most original manufacturers of microcomputer equipment was the Digital Group of Denver, never to be confused with Digital Equipment Corp. This group of hobbyists and designers, led by Dr. Robert Suding, could be considered more of a cult than a company because they adhered to a set of beliefs regarding computers and microprocessors that was generally at odds with the rest of the industry.
The Digital Group, or as they preferred, the Digital Group in all lowercase, believed that the industry would constantly develop new microprocessors and that the computer hobbyist should have a personal computer system that allowed him to change from one processor to another without losing the investment in the total system. They realized that the major part of the investment in computer equipment was spent on memory, interfaces, software, and peripherals. Therefore, they reasoned that if you purchased a CPU that quickly becomes obsolete, as they all do, any investment in memory and peripherals specifically designed only for that CPU will be made totally obsolete. The Digital Group systems were designed to be independent of the manufacturer's chip design. Complete system compatibility was maintained at the CPU card level. All memory, I/O, and peripherals were completely independent of the CPU selected. They provided architectures from 4 CPU manufacturers: Zilog, MasTec Z80, Intel 8080, Motorola 6800, and MOS Technology 6502.
With the Digital Group system, you could change from a Z80 to a 6800 by literally unplugging the Z80 board and plugging in a 6800 board. Once you had done so, all you had to do was power up and read in the 6800 operating system from a cassette, and you had a 6800 system. The same was true of the 6502 board. This was the basic idea behind the Digital Group designs, and it was very attractive, mainly to hobbyists.
In addition to the interchangeability of processors, the Digital Group system had quite a few other features that were far in advance of the other early microcomputers. It did not require a front panel with switches and lights, since all the startup software was contained in a ROM. It used a combination video and cassette interface board at a time when other computers still relied upon teletypes and provided a cassette-based operating system, which could use a standard unmodified cassette recorder to operate at 110 characters per second, where other systems operated at 30 characters per second. It had a crystal-controlled interface that did not require constant adjustment and was extremely reliable. The video portion displayed 16 lines by 32 characters of a 7 by 9 character matrix and included math symbols, special symbols, and even the Greek alphabet.
The Digital Group system used reliable 8K static memory boards that would work with any of the CPU boards selected. In addition, the Digital Group system was available to users as either a 4-board system or any other sized system according to the owner's requirements. Since the system was designed for hobbyists, the highest level of interchangeability was provided. Given all these advantages, the reader may wonder why the Digital Group was not more successful as a computer manufacturer. Well, they were completely hobbyist-oriented, and while they had dealers, they never supplied equipment on a steady basis. You really had to want a Digital Group system very badly to put up with their erratic shipping habits. They only promised to ship orders in sequence received, and dealers had to wait in line with retail customers.
When a customer came into my store and asked for a Digital Group system, I would carefully explain the terms. The customer must completely pay for the system up front. I could not give a delivery date, and most likely the board kits would arrive in haphazard fashion with no order to the supply. It was almost impossible to get an assembled unit, so the customer must have the ability to solder complex printed circuit boards. In addition, when the computer was completed, it would still require complicated tests and adjustments requiring electronic test equipment. I did not have this equipment, but if the customer wanted, I would send his assembled computer to my friends at the Personal Computer Company in Fraser, Pennsylvania, who specialize in digital group computers. They assembled these and installed them into a very attractive wooden cabinet, which they called a quote unquote personal computer. As far as I know, they were the first to use this term for a microcomputer, way back in 1975, not Apple, as they often claim. The reason for the wooden cabinet was partially that Digital Group did not sell any cabinets for a long time. When they finally designed some very attractive cabinets for their equipment, it was almost impossible to get one delivered.
With all these negative situations, you may wonder why I bothered to become a dealer for this computer cult. It could hardly be called a company. Well, it was my principle that Computer Mart of New York would sell all available microcomputers. I also hoped they would become more businesslike. Besides, I did manage to sell most people who asked for Digital Group on something that would make them happier.
The demise of Digital Group happened quite a bit before the general disappearance of all 8-bit S100 companies. There were just not many hobbyists who subscribed to the ideas of the group, and when the pool was used up, the company expired. Even dealers who had based their whole business on the system finally had to give up because non-scheduled deliveries drove them out of business.
As you might imagine, anyone who finally succeeded in building and operating a Digital Group machine became one of an exclusive brotherhood who were one of the loyal group of users. Long after the demise of the company, the user groups carried on, and there were even third-party small manufacturers who made compatible equipment, such as communication boards, floppy disk systems, and speech boards. One of these was Eon Electronics, also of Denver, Colorado, who made equipment well into 1983. Finally, even the user groups gave up and the entire concept died.
Interesting. So what did you think?
Interesting. You know, I was very intrigued by this. I had never heard of, the Digital Group prior to reading this chapter in this book. And so it was very interesting to find out more about them.
Yeah, I'd only just in passing heard about them and seen a few pictures, and yeah, the cases were. And we'll put a couple links in the show notes that show some pictures of the units and stuff. Yeah, very attractive cases and all units. So, but yeah, other than that, just hadn't really heard of them. I think I mentioned to you before the show. I was confusing them with Southwest Technical Products there for a little bit. So, but then I straightened it out in my head. But yeah, to me the most interesting thing is this changeability, the processors. That kind of blows my
Right.
mind. I don't know how they did
That's
that.
wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. Now they did stick with 8-bit processors, while they were in
Mhm.
business. Eventually things would have gone the 16-bit processor route. I don't know how that would have, made things a little more difficult, but the way that they could make it all work by just having a processor board and a RAM board and so on, no matter what processor you had, you could use the same RAM board. I mean, that's just, I've never
But
heard of anyone doing that.
you know what? Now I'm thinking about it. Of course, it was all S100. So that was
Uh-huh.
standardized, 8-bit standardized. So basically, yeah, your memory and the bus, that's
Yeah.
standard. So I do remember a later S100, and I can't think of it, where you could buy it originally, I think, with a Z80, and then later on you could put like an 8086 in it, even, and then a 6809, if I remember correctly. And I wish I could. Oh, God Belt. I think it was a God Belt system, and now I have to look that up, I guess. But so
I'm not
maybe.
familiar with that one.
And I know 8088 or 8086 is a 16-bit, but they're still on an 8-bit bus, right?
I think so. I think that's
Or
right.
8088 is. Yeah.
8088 is, yeah.
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 So, but still really interesting. So I know we have a few notes. Let's see, if you want to share the ones you added there.
Yeah, so I did a little more research just to to find it. And I found a quote that I thought was, pretty interesting about it. It said, their system was the Cadillac of computers in 1975, which, I mean, that was early. That was when
Yeah,
that's Apple One days, right?
right. And Altair and MSI days. Yeah, MSI.
Yeah, right, exactly. So Altair system owners were flipping switches for hours just to watch lights blink on the front panel, whereas digital group system owners were throwing a power switch, unloading an operating system in less than 20 seconds.
Yeah, yeah. And getting
That
things
had to be
done, like getting their computer ready to use,
ready to use in 20
ready to
seconds.
do something after they do something else timely to get it ready, right?
Right.
But yeah, that's still pretty neat. Um, and I wonder who called it the Cadillac of computers, because that would be interesting. Who coined that phrase?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. I don't know.
The owners of the digital group company. Let's see. So here's another one. Despite its short lifespan, the digital group is remembered for its forward-thinking modular design, which influenced later computing architectures. It also helped popularize the idea of user configurable systems, a concept that would become central to the personal computer revolution. That's about its legacy. And again, we'll have some good links in the show notes so you can check out as much information as we can find. But by 1975, I mean, you had the processor technology sold. I guess that was maybe early 76 that came out. So okay, so maybe this predated it. But that also kind of revolutionized these features too. So
Yeah, and I think what they did was all, I think the Altair was the catalyst, and they
yeah.
decided to build something better, than what they saw with the Altair, and it sounds like they succeeded. Unfortunately, they just didn't treat it enough like a business. It sounds like to survive.
But good chapter. So Randy, tell us
Yeah.
what next time will be about.
So the
Chapter
next
11.
time is a big one, and that's about the Tandy Radio Shack TRS-80 computers, and that will be a lot of fun, I think, to go through that.
Oh, a lot of good pictures too we can share, but it looks like it's almost 3 times as long. So
It's very, yeah.
we'll probably definitely do that at least in 2 parts. Ooh, goes through Model 4. Oh, Coco. It's pretty long.
There's a lot to cover. There's a lot to cover with the
Model
TRS-80 one.
100, maybe 3 parts. We'll have to discuss that before we record.
Yeah.
But all right, excellent. So see you next time.
Yeah. Thank you. See you next time.